Want the inside scoop of what really goes on behind the walls of your renovation projects? Well, you're in for a treat. I'm sitting down with Chris Winston of Renovation Sells, and we are getting started right now. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good, Clark. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for carving out some time to chat with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the program.
Yeah, so Chris and I met at the Contra Costa Realtors in Motion. I've been going there since we really started, launched California. It's been a great resource. I think you're an annual sponsor now, are you not, Chris, of that?
Yep, sure am.
Yeah. And then your background, you are actually, are you still a licensed realtor?
Yes, technically it's, like 2% of my life, if that,
Yeah.
but I like to keep
Yeah.
my licensing active to make sure I have a good pulse on the market.
Yeah. And yeah, because you have nothing else going on with all your projects. It's like you want to drive around and look for potential, look at open houses.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about, Chris did a presentation in front of the Contra Costa Realtors in Motion group. It got my brain spinning as I was like, man, maybe this is the right guy to go tackle that next fix and flip. Like I've done them before. I've tried to manage all the tradespeople myself and be the hub of the wheel, if you will, and it never goes smoothly. But what I heard from your process, and really I'd like to start with, is just why'd you get into this, and then kind of let's talk about your process and how Renovation Sells kind of handles the customer relationship and the project going forward, because you and I had been speaking about our fix and flip loans, and a big part of a fix and flip loan is the statement of work. And when that SOW starts to slip and costs start to move, things can get a little hairy. The relationship can get a little tense. So let's start with why you got started in this and tell us a bit about Renovation Sells.
Sure. So I am just an entrepreneur at heart. I spent 25 years in corporate America in consumer products
Okay.
up to executive leadership in operations, and really got a bad taste in my mouth from the last stop. So I
Yep.
decided to start my own business. And all I knew was consumer products at that time. So I started a consumer products business, and I did a really good job making a lot of money for Amazon and
Okay.
no money for me. So
Yeah.
uh, I had my come to Jesus moment and trying to figure out, what's next. And I wanted something that was still entrepreneurial, but had a little bit of additional help. So
Okay.
I reached out to a franchise broker, and we evaluated a whole bunch of franchises, and specifically in the home spaces, because I got my real estate license. I have a
Hmm.
civil engineering degree in my background, and then I've also been a DIYer from a homeowner standpoint. So
Okay.
I knew about the construction process, and renovation sales bubbled right up to the top. It gives me the kind of the guide rails and support to run my own business, but not do it all on my own like I tried previously with the previous startup,
Yeah.
and so far has been very successful.
I don't think I knew that it was a franchise. That's awesome that you discovered it. So let's talk about the process, right? I'm a homeowner. I'm just sitting here looking out my window. There's three homes that are all in some varying stage of either having to go through an update, a major update, or a renovation. How does the process with you guys work? If I'm if I'm a homeowner coming to you and saying, "Hey, I need to do X."
Yeah, sure. So I like to start with the fact that we are a franchise, because I think it's the perfect spot for this industry and this space. We have the benefits of the big business, so we are fully turnkey. The franchise provides the systems and processes, the national procurement and
Okay.
scale of that, so we get
Okay.
our components really inexpensively. The professional design. All my properties are designed by our lead designer and reviewed by her two peers and the chief design officer. So we literally have four sets of eyes on each design, and then financing if that's desired. So those are all the big business benefits. But then being a franchise, own the Northern California location. The person-to-person relationship exists. I live in Concord,
Okay.
and that allows me to be kind of deep rooted into the community and sponsor CCRM, like you mentioned, and
Yep.
build relationships with realtors, because realtors are ultimately our primary customer, or at least our target marketing audience. Because a homeowner rarely comes and gives me a call. Every once in a while, I'll get one that says, "Hey, I'm looking for a remodel, and you got referred. Great,
Okay.
we'll try to service them." But most of the time, it's a realtor said, "Hey, Chris, I've got a listing. It's the house that time forgot. It smells like cat pee, and it has kitchen and bathrooms from the 70s. Can you help?" So we go in, we take a home that, let me give you an example of one that we just finished recently. It was a house in Pleasanton. It had an investor offer of $1.2 million.
Okay.
We came in and we executed $250,000 worth of work. It was a massive amount of work. This is not a normal example for us, but
Yep.
I'm providing it to
More than
illustrate the
cosmetic.
massive value.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, much more than cosmetic. And, interior, exterior, landscaping, you name it. That was all 100% financed, so the
Okay.
clients had no money out of pocket and no interest payment or payments for 10 months. So it was almost like free money for that period, and now it's listed for 1.8 on the market. So 1.2 plus 250, you've got about what, 350 or
Yeah.
450 if my math is right, of margin on there. So, even if they wind up selling it for 1.7, it's still a massively successful
Still on the right
project.
side of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that's what we try to do for our
the
clients.
are you sitting down with the realtor and the property owner and doing this as a kind of a consultative piece, or is the realtor like, "Hey Chris, I got this house, it needs to be done. Can you go deal with it and try and figure out what it's going to cost?"
So, yes to that question, because the answer is both. It really
Okay.
depends on the realtor and the clients and the client relationship.
Okay.
In some cases, I am talking specifically with the clients, and the realtor says, "Great, whatever you guys decide, just let me know." Sometimes I have very collaborative sessions where the realtor wants to be very involved. And sometimes I'm 100% with the realtor and I'm just sending the contract through the realtor, and I never actually get any interaction with the client.
Got it.
The most successful relationships are the ones where it is mutually collaborative,
Yeah.
but we've done it a whole bunch of ways. Ultimately, I and our company is the general contractor in contract with the homeowner,
Okay.
not involving the realtor. And that's key, because if the realtor gets involved, there's actually liability, because they could be considered an unlicensed
Oh,
contractor
I never
if
thought
they're
about that. Yeah. Yeah.
involved
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
investment in any way. So the contract is between me and the homeowner.
Got it. And then got it. So, and then it's as part of, I mean, I started this out by saying, I've done one of these and tried to manage all the contractors. So this is all really almost, is it all in-house, all the talent you use to do the work?
Virtually 100%. So
Okay.
if we've got foundation
Yeah.
work or landscaping, we sub that out. But we have a team of 8 full-time employees, and their skills range everywhere from plumbing and electrical to flooring to paint.
Okay.
And framing, and we try to do as much as we can in house for a number of reasons. One, it ensures that we have good cost containment. Two, high quality, and then it also allows us to have flow resources to the work so that we can be responsive to the realtor community. Because usually I get a client that's him and hawing, and then finally they sign and they say, "Well, we've got to get the house listed in 3 weeks."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can help you that quickly, but
Not a magician.
we can't be booking out business for October in this
Yeah.
industry, which is different than a traditional remodeler that could be working with homeowners, 6, 9 months out, and they're okay with just get to me when you can get to me.
Got it. Got it. And then I guess the other piece of that that you mentioned is the procurement, right? I think one of the things that, I mean, on our side as a mortgage broker, we're doing a lot of cash out, right? Home equity for a project, cash out, even cash out refinances for, significant amounts. And the hesitancy, other than leaving a very low interest rate, is the fluctuating costs of supplies to do the work. So it sounds like you have buying power as part of this larger franchise to help control that. How do you put a customer's mind at ease and like, hey, you know, we're not going to talk about tariffs, but like, how do you say, look, we're going to be able to control the cost because of our ability to procure at such a large scale?
Yeah, happy to answer that question. And actually, I will talk about tariffs because tariffs are a good part of the story. And
Okay.
notice I said good in there. So we have national scale that has allowed us to have direct negotiations with big suppliers such as Sherwin-Williams.
Okay.
So if you think about remodelers, there isn't really a national footprint of any of them except
No.
us.
Yeah.
You've got some national home builders that have some buying power as well, but you really don't have any remodelers in the space other than us. So I've been told that our pricing at Sherwin-Williams is better than the stores can get it for. Now, that could be a little bit of folklore, but the point is that anytime I show my pricing to someone who's in the industry, their eyes kind of bug out and they say, "Hey, can I get in on that deal with you?"
Yeah.
So that's all because of the fact that we've got 40 owners across the country that create that
Sure.
scale and purchase. Um, we also have, and then that we also have national accounts, and these aren't challenging for anyone to get, but we do have them. We've got 20% off at all the Williams Sonoma brands. We've got good direct pricing with Wayfair, where I've got an account rep that can give me extra incentives
Oh,
and
cool.
whatnot. But probably the biggest value is with Home Depot. So we have, so just to step back, I am blessed with being the largest location in the country for
Okay.
Renovation Sells. We did $2.25 million in revenue last year. We're going to probably go over 3 million this year, and that has led to a massive amount of purchases at Home Depot.
Sure.
Um, we don't usually install any Home Depot finishes. Our finishes tend to be more elevated because obviously we're marketing the house. So, you're
Yep.
not going to be able to buy signature hardware at Home Depot as an example of a faucet that we purchase a lot of. But they have really stepped up their game in vanities. Their online selection of vanities is very elevated. And then all of the rough materials that no one sees are a big component of cost that we're able to leverage. So I have a national account manager with Home Depot. I give him a call. I say, "Hey, I need to get a quote on this item." As an example, vanities. A lot of times it'll be 2,200 on the website. We get it for $1,300, like
Wow.
massive
Wow.
discounts. And when I talked to him about it initially, he kind of chuckled. He said, "You have no idea how much margin we make on these things." I said, "Okay,
Clearly.
great."
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's part of our benefit of having the national scale, which then we can translate to better pricing for consumers. Ultimately, we know that if someone's selling the house, they're not going to want to spend a lot of money
Sure.
because they're really focused on getting the greatest value. And that's why we focus on spending as little of the client's money for as much value as possible and getting that return rate or that ratio ROI in the at least 2x range, if not 3 to 4x, depending on the project.
Got it. Yeah, and I guess you're selling the house. You don't want to make the house the remodel 100% to your liking. It's got to be somewhat universal, have universal appeal. So that makes sense. You mentioned the tariff impact.
Oh yeah, so everyone was freaking out about tariffs, and a little bit rightfully so. But the what it tends to be is most of our building materials don't come from China; they actually come
Okay.
from Vietnam.
Oh,
And not to get political, maybe it's Chinese companies in Vietnam. I don't know, but the
yeah, yeah,
point
yeah.
is that they're coming from Vietnam, and Vietnam was one of the first countries to raise their hand up and get to the front of the line with the negotiation. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get a deal today. I think the UK just announced a
Yep.
deal with us. It wouldn't
Yeah, they
surprise
did.
me if Vietnam, is the next few weeks reporting a deal with us. But even with that, the value that is created with our products that are coming from Vietnam is actually created in the country. So, as an example, for our
Hmm.
cabinets come from Vietnam as components. just
Okay.
doors,
Yeah.
parts
Hinges. Yep.
of the box,
Yep.
exactly. And then they get assembled here in California in order to
Okay.
be installed by us. So the actual value of the components pre-assembled is way less than the cost of a cabinet. And therefore, if you have a tariff on something that's way less, it's going to be a very small tariff.
Got it. Makes total sense. Very interesting. Very interesting. So I kind of reached out to our network and said, hey, I'm sitting down with Chris. What questions come up? And one of the big ones is, as I mean, our main customer is also realtors. Is, what project, what room in your experience generates the most return, right? If you were going to sit there and I said I had to do a living room and a bathroom and a kitchen, but I could only do two or maybe even one, which
Right.
one drives the biggest return? That's the $1 million question all our network wanted to hear.
Oh, really? Because that's the easiest question I can answer. So if I can get $1 million for this answer, I'll take it. It's the kitchen. It's the
You take
kitchen,
Venmo?
absolutely first and foremost. You spend the most time in the kitchen. Um, Real estate, even though it should be analytical, it's very emotional.
Yeah.
And it tends to be very emotional when you have a husband and wife, and the wife is elbowing the husband saying, I love this house. I just,
Yep.
whatever it takes.
Yep.
And usually the kitchen is the main focus of that. Shouldn't care one lick about the garage, but the kitchen, she's interested. And that usually drives the purchase decision. So we feel we can create the greatest value by doing a kitchen remodel. And we usually have the bathrooms and other areas of the house kind of secondary, tertiary, et cetera, with diminishing returns. So it's definitely the kitchen. And just a little sneak peek, and this is hot off the press, but you'll see it next. Is it next week? I think at CCRM if you're
Hmm.
in attendance.
Yep.
I think it's next week, so I hope I'm not fibbing. I'm going to be presenting our newest tech called Instant Bid, and it
Oh,
works starting with kitchens. That's the only room that it works with so far, but it allows the realtor to download an app, scan a kitchen on their phone, and then within seconds get an estimate of how much it would cost to remodel it.
no way.
So first in the country to be doing that. Obviously, it uses AI. That's
Yep.
that's
Yep.
the buzzy tech, of course. But it'll be able to scan and identify cabinets versus appliances, and then be able to determine what your remodel budget would be roughly. The idea is
Wow.
that it'll allow a realtor to get a listing
Okay.
because they, a listing presentation, they're able to have an answer right away. And if a seller sees them pull out all this text, like, oh wow, that realtor really knows what they're doing, I'm going to sign with them. And then they call me in and we go ahead and do the formal estimate. So
Got it. That's impressive. I literally had coffee with a realtor earlier today. We were talking about some of the homes in our community that they've been here. People have been here since the 50s. Like these homes they're original, and
yep,
she was talking about how it's hard to build trust with the homeowner, that they can come in and do this work with a partner like you and have the experience and be very motivated to move versus homeowner going out finding a general contractor and trying to muddle their way through if they've never done it.
sure.
So like this model to me, it makes a lot of sense. My two flips have been extremely painful, profitable but painful. So your presentation was like, well, maybe I could do another one if I had somebody like Chris who I could pick up the phone and I wasn't having to make 20 phone calls a day asking where stuff is, what's the timeline, why is it creeping, why am I writing another check for $10,000? It'd be a lot more digestible. So, um,
Yeah.
Chris, how
Let me
can
let me
what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
So, renovationsells.com. You can give me a look on on the East Bay page. So our
Okay.
franchise location is called East Bay. Is it appropriate for me to give my cell phone number out on this?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so 510-220-4942 or cwinston at renovationsells.com. We've also got some social media handles. I think it's Reno Sells East Bay or some variant of that. You can probably search us and find us
Yeah, I
out.
think I saw it on the footer of your website. I believe I'm on there right now. It's accessible there. Yeah. Well, awesome. Anything else you'd like to touch on, Chris?
Yeah, just one other point that you kind of alluded to the trust and getting people
Yeah.
comfortable that came to mind. So our entire focus is value. If we can deliver a kitchen for $40,000 that makes 150,000 for the client,
Yep.
that's great. I don't want to say, oh no, I really should get 75 of that. No,
Yeah.
I want to be able to get that great ratio for the client. So some of the things that we try to do to communicate that value is talking to the homeowner, if it's or the realtor, depending on the relationship, and saying, look, this, and you mentioned how a lot of the kitchens are from the 60s. There's a massive amount of kitchens here in the La Mirinda area, as a
Uh-huh.
perfect example, that have a slim 27-inch double wall oven and a cooktop as separate appliances, and they're in the cabinets and they've been there since the 60s. Well, if
Yep.
you just go and do a slap some paint on the cabinets, but you replace those appliances, you're
Yep.
going to spend 6 grand on just the cooking appliances, because that 27-inch wide wall oven is specialty. So that's
Yep.
like 5 grand in of itself, and then you also have to buy the cooktop. So what I tell people is, hey, let's rip out the whole kitchen. Let's consolidate those two appliances into a single slide-in range for a
Yep.
thousand dollars. We just saved $5,000 that can help pay for all your cabinets. And they realize that, oh, wait, doing the 80 for the 20 actually may not be the right solution.
Yep.
Maybe the full redo is actually slightly more expensive, not massively more expensive, and it creates all of this additional value for me on the selling process.
Yeah, and I think another thing you touched on that really resonated with me is the fact that that realtors are your customer. As a homeowner, I would look at it. Well, Chris is not coming in here trying to hit a home run on one deal. Chris
Nope.
wants every deal from this realtor for the foreseeable future. So Chris isn't coming in here trying to knock it out of the park with a huge piece of revenue for his company. He wants to keep that book of business going. So I think that's another piece we'll talk to our realtor groups about as well, is saying, look, you're aligned here. Chris wants your business down the road. You're going to run into more properties that are going to need the work. They're not coming in trying to make 80% margin on the deal. They're wanting to get in, provide value, show that homeowner a massive win. Realtors happy, homeowners happy. You've made some money. So it's all good in that regard. So, yeah, this has been very informative, Chris. I really appreciate your time. I will put all your contact information in the comments, and we will make sure that we drive people your way. So, thanks so much for taking the time, Chris. We look forward to your presentation at CCRIM. Reminder, everybody, if you could leave a thumbs up and a subscribe, that would help us out a lot. And if you're in the La Mirinda area, be sure to come out to, and you're a realtor or an affiliate like myself, come out to CCRIM. Chris is going to give that presentation. I can't wait to see this tech and how that works. So we're looking forward to that. But Chris, thanks again. We really appreciate you taking your time.
Thank you, Clark.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care.